And welcome to episode 4 of the 9 Frames podcast. It is Monday, July 31st, and I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
And we're going to touch on some stories from around the major leagues. Started off, Boston and the Giants had a 3-game set. Tauchman ends the first game by robbing a homer to seal the W for the Giants. Absolute filthy play in center field. Second one ends with J.D. Davis hitting a walk-off homer off Kenley Jansen, his 14th of the year. And the Giants walk it off in the third game as well with a Jock Peterson single. They are 2 games back, of the Dodgers in the West, and 1 game up on the first wild card spot. What do you think of the Giants?
I was going to say it's a huge series for the Giants because now, like you just said, they're just 2 back. They've been struggling a little bit too. 4-6 in the last 10. They just also are lucky that the Dodgers are happening to go 4-6 in their last 10.
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on the Dodgers a little bit more. The reason the Dodgers are struggling is because they're playing some tough teams, had a tough series against the Reds, which we'll definitely get into later.
The sweep gives the Giants, maybe the first time this season, I'm not 100% sure, they're 10 games above 500.
Yeah, that might actually be.
This might be their season high. I might be wrong, I'm not sure, but it could be.
They stepped up big for this sweep in a time where they really need to make up games on the Dodgers if they're going to have a chance at that division. Regardless, I think this is a playoff roster. What about you?
I agree. I mean, if you look at the NL standings, after the Braves, who have 67 wins, 59 is the second most, and it's the Dodgers right in front of the Giants.
Yeah.
So they're in contention for the second best record in the National League.
2 games back of the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's right there.
We're touching August. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. For the second best team, too.
And lastly, for San Francisco, do you think they have a chance at the West?
I don't know how you could say they don't. We're talking about how close they are right now, and they haven't even really been playing their best ball until this past weekend.
This was more of an opinion-based question. Just, do you think they can chase the Dodgers down?
No, I don't think they're a better team than the Dodgers, but I think it's baseball. Like, they could make a run.
One more thing on the Giants, actually. Trade deadline predictions? Do they make a move?
I think they got to get some kind of starter. But I don't know, because now the Cubs aren't there. They might be shifting toward more of a buyer instead of a seller.
It definitely seems like it.
With their recent hot streak. But I don't know. Who's even out there for a starter now? With Giolito gone,
it would have to be Cease, who, again, we'll talk about him more, but it's not sounding great for that.
I mean...
So, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Moving on over to more of the trades front of the weekend.
There'll be a lot of that.
The Cardinals, who seem to be blowing it up because they are not having the best season. They're trading Jordan Hicks to Toronto for Adam Klothenstein, who is a right-handed pitcher, and Sem Roberts. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing those.
Couple names.
He's a right-handed pitcher. They're both in Double-A right now, so they're trying to rebuild their arms in the farm a little bit.
Yeah, both of those guys are more of relief pitchers, so I mean you can kind of see exactly what they're doing here. They're just thinking these are Double-A guys who need a couple years to progress, and this is a team that might be, I mean, I don't want to say down in the dumps because they're the Cardinals. They're going to try.
And
they're hanging on to Arenado, I'm saying, and guys like that. They want to try to be. They want to be competitive next year, but I just don't know if they will be. But these guys will be guys that we'll probably see in 2-3 years.
Yeah, and Jordan Hicks is an immediate impact for Toronto, whose closer just goes down on the 15-day IL, Jordan Romano, with I think it was back pain.
Yeah, and I think it's the best thing you can do right now in baseball is just adding a guy who throws 100 plus.
Yeah, they just replaced their dominant closer with a closer that can throw 104.
Now Hicks is going to come out of Toronto bullpen and he's throwing 102 every pitch.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely insane to have to deal with as a hitter.
Next, the Braves flipped Taylor Hearn, who they just acquired from the Rangers 6 days ago, for Nicky Lopez from the Royals, middle infielder.
A lot of action. Hearing the Rangers name again on that one. So the Rangers are active. The Braves are active. That's definitely, I think, a beneficial move for the Braves. Getting an infield there in Nicky Lopez. A good contact bat. Probably better for the team as a fit than Taylor Hearn, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Hearn made one appearance for them. For your immaculate grid out there. Taylor Hearn will count for Braves now for some reason.
That'll be an insane one, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good move for both teams. The Royals are just
I kind
whatever.
of I'm looking at it. I'm just kind of thinking, why would the Royals do this?
Because I mean, I don't think Nicky Lopez has performed how they wanted him to, I mean, the Royals have to be banking on like another wave of people coming up.
Right.
So you got to think that they probably just were done with Nicky Lopez.
Yeah, we'll see how Lopez does in Atlanta. We'll see how Hearn does in Kansas City. Should be fine. Into interesting news yesterday.
Late last night.
Yeah, the Angels acquire Grichuk and Crone. That's Randall Grichuk and C.J. Crone from Colorado for minor league pitchers Jake Madden, he's a right-hander, and Mason Albright, he's a left-hander.
The team that drafted both.
You'll
of them.
remember Grichuk was picked the pick before Trout,
Yeah.
first round pick of them, and then Crone. I'm not sure exactly where he was picked, but yeah, another draft pick, and he's back in the organization too. These are two guys who know the org, they know the clubhouse, and I'm sure they're happy to be back, and the Angels are happy to have him.
Yeah, I mean Crone. I'm pretty sure Crone was drafted in 2011, and like you just said, Grichuk was in 2009. The pick before Trout, which is crazy. Both on the same team again.
Two good pop bats, which is honestly, I thought maybe they'd go a little harder for pitching, but they already got their guy.
Yeah,
So,
they got Giolito.
So I mean, this they traded a couple minor league pitchers to try to get some pop bats, and maybe that'll work out.
I mean, Grichuk is hitting 308 this year. I know it's in Colorado, so his stats might be a little bit inflated, but still an 861 OPS is nothing to scoff at. He's having a pretty good year.
Not at all. I mean, he's an impressive guy always. I mean, he's been a guy who maybe just isn't that household name, but he really performs. He really does.
Crone's at 260, hanging around at 800 OPS, 11 home runs. That's a little bit down for Crone, but yeah, he was drafted in 2011. He was the 17th pick in the first round for the Angels.
I mean, you look at those numbers from both of those guys, I think it's kind of just, it's hard to say they'll do anything but help the Angels. They're just going to help.
Yeah, it's depth and protection for their lineup, which is something that they need.
It's actually
With Rendon out.
one of the few times the Angels are making moves that look like they're really trying to build to win. So, I mean, I respect it for sure. We'll get into the last point here. Philly dropped 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh after taking 2 out of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles and beating their bullpen specifically.
The Phillies confuse me
You
sometimes.
beat the Orioles bullpen. These guys are untouchable.
Yeah.
And you're hitting them, you're taking 2 runs off them, and you're winning games, but you're losing to Pittsburgh 2 out of 3.
There's a little bit of a head scratcher there yesterday. Philly starter Christopher Sanchez was 6 no-hit innings or something like that, and his manager pulled him. And then right away, the Pirates come back and tie the game.
So I guess they're trying to go for the combined thing, probably a stamina issue.
Well, they ended up losing the game.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I don't know if you keep rolling with the guy if he's not, like, if he doesn't have... I don't know much about Sanchez.
He's a reliever that they're trying to stretch out.
Is he... I don't think he can go... Does he have the length in him?
He used to only go like 4, now he's up to 6.
So to go 6 no-hit and expect a 7th out of him, though, it's a little rough.
It's another one of those tough situations, like how if you remember last year in the beginning, Kershaw had a perfect game early in the season, but he was on a pitch count, and they pulled him out, and everyone was like, "Why are they doing this?" Sometimes it's the goal at the end of the year that matters more than the individual goal.
It's also kind of happened with Miguel last year with the Mets, right?
Yeah.
And they ended up getting that no-hitter.
A combined 5 people were in.
I mean, could you have pushed Miguel?
I mean, he only went 5 that game.
Could you have kept
he ain't going
pushing?
4 more.
That's what I'm saying. Could you keep trying? Maybe.
Sometimes a
You
combined no-hitter is just
Yeah.
necessary. The guy's out of gas.
shouldn't. Maybe that's not a quote-unquote real one to other people, but it is to me.
Regardless, like we were talking about, Philly drops 2 out of 3. They sit in 3rd place now behind Miami, who jumped them again.
I believe a half game out?
Half game out of the wild
Yeah,
card.
So, I mean, that's huge. Milwaukee's kind of skidding as well. They just lost first place in the Central. We'll touch on that later.
Pittsburgh's basically out of the running for both things, which makes it even worse for Philly.
Yeah. It's a really baffling season, or not series. I mean, you gotta perform better against Pittsburgh there.
Well, we'll get into more stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll get into the National League first. The Mets, 4th place, taking on the Nationals, 5th place in the National League East. They take 3 out of 4 from the Nationals, 6.5 games back of the wild card now. The same 5 teams are ahead of the Mets there.
Yeah, they're not making up much ground, and now it appears as if they're selling more than buying.
Huge deal.
They make the first move with Robertson going to Miami a couple days ago, and then yesterday, or 2 days ago now, they make the big deal sending ace right-handed pitcher Max Scherzer to the Texas Rangers, along with $35 million in salary relief, to get top prospect number 5 in the Rangers system, and number 2 in the Mets system already, Luis Angel Acuna, the brother of fantastic Atlanta Brave
A lot
Ronald
of similarities
Acuna.
in their game, honestly.
Scherzer, it's a good move for the Rangers. They need arms. Their rotations. We'll talk about the Rangers and all of it a little bit more, but to briefly touch on it, Scherzer will help them. He's a guy with experience. He's 9-4 this year, so he's still winning games. He's given his team a chance. He does have a 4.01 ERA, but his WHIP is still at a 1.19. So it's because he's been giving up a lot of home runs. His home run rate is kind of as bad as it's ever been in his career.
Always a low whip guy. I think his velocity's down a bit, and the game's just kind of catching up to him, which it's going to happen.
He's 39 going on 40. What do you expect?
And the fact that this deal is a top prospect for a top or what used to be a top pitcher, and they're hoping will pan out for them, it kind of makes sense for both teams. It's sad.
That was going to
Yeah.
be my question. What are your thoughts on it,
Yeah.
and who do you think is the big winner out of the two?
Yeah, it's sad to see. Mets clear up what is it? It's going to be $8 million this year and $43 million the next year. I mean,
yeah.
do they have to follow? They have to cover that full option.
I'm not sure how it works, but I think the Mets are, at least this year, they're saving. I think it's $10 million.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's 10.
All right, so you clear $10 million off the books. You don't think you're going to compete this year. Maybe you don't even think you're going to compete next year.
Scherzer did already pick up that option, by the way,
Right.
for
Yep.
24 in
Yep.
Texas.
Instantly.
It's
which
already.
I honestly didn't think you. I didn't even know you could do it.
Well, that was what was holding it up a little bit, was that Scherzer wanted to make it so that he was already there next year and that he was getting his money, because
always
now he
thought-
has he's not going to, you got to remember, he was in New York, he's getting state income tax
Oh,
here. He's in
yeah.
Texas
Oh,
now,
yeah.
and he lives in Florida in the off season, so he's getting all of that money now.
He's going to have a mansion down there.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
getting every single penny.
But a lot of similarities in Acuna's swing, Luis Angel, that is Luis Angel, and Ronald. They have very similar stances. They don't really play the same position. Luis Angel can play the outfield. He's more of a middle infielder. He could definitely.
I think he'll probably come up and be a second baseman for the Mets.
You're probably going to see him next year, maybe the year after.
At latest, I think 25. His ETA says 24. I mean, if there's a spot for him, I think he'll be good enough.
So, I mean, the Mets clear some cap. They get a guy they think might make the roster soon. It's kind of hard to fault the Mets. It's a little sad to see Scherzer leave and wear another jersey. And it's impossible to fault the Rangers. They're going out and they're getting a guy who keeps you in the games with the best offense. They have the best offense in the league, and now they have a guy like Scherzer who can keep them in the game while they're scoring all those runs. Yeah, I mean, it's a win-win, I actually think, in this regard.
Yeah, so your answer is you think both teams win.
I think both teams win this one by the time it's done, because I think we're gonna be talking about Luis Angel. I'm not gonna say, because this would be way too bold. It's not gonna be the way we talk about Ronald, because he's insane.
Yeah, that would be a bold prediction.
But he's gonna be good.
He's got big shoes to fill, that's for sure.
I think he's gonna be good, and so it'll matter. We'll Verlander.
Focusing more on the Mets. What do they do with Verlander now?
I mean, he pitched last night. I guess yesterday afternoon.
He was good.
He went
Again.
5 1/3. Didn't get to the 6th inning mark, but that's fine. It's not the same game it used to be. Guys used to be more inning eaters. 1 earned run, which is exactly what you want to see. He gets the W again. That's his 250th career win.
Now,
And his ERA goes down to 3.15.
I understand that he only went 5 1/3, but like in my mind, I know it won't go down as a stat as a quality start, but in my mind, that's a very good. Like it's a quality start. Almost.
I think a lot of people don't even really look at quality starts as like when you're on a Baseball Reference page, or you go to the QS.
No, but that's exactly why,
Right.
because that's still to the eye. Like he went 5 1/3, he only gave up 1, he got a W. That's a good start.
I don't think many people are scrolling over to the QS to see how good a starting pitcher is.
I think I saw a stat. Verlander's down to like over his last from June on. He's at like a 1.49 ERA.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. And he's down to a 3.15 on the area. I mean, the guy might be sub 2 by his next start. The way he is on his shortened innings because of the injury earlier on in the year. But the Mets are still listening. And I saw in an interview on SNY last night, he said he wants to stay in New York and he's willing to stay in New York, but if the brass comes and talks to him, He's willing to move too.
I also saw that clip, and that clip to me kind of felt like he's kind of changing his attitude a little bit and becoming more open to it. A couple days ago, it sounded like he wanted to be here fully, and he believes in what we have. But then with us trading Scherzer, you got to think that it shocks him a little bit, and he's got to be like, I don't know, because if 24 is a question mark for the Mets, Verlander doesn't want to be here.
No,
He's 40. He's gonna be 41. He wants to go have a chance.
It's the end of him. I mean, to a certain extent too. I mean, the guy deserves.
I was going to say rightfully so. Yeah, if we're rebuilding, I don't think we're going to rebuild. It'll be a retool, but I mean, if he doesn't want to be here for that,
put yourselves in his shoes. You know, I mean, he is the reigning Cy Young winner. He signed a $43 million deal in New York. The biggest market you can do besides LA, obviously, and this team was a 101 win team, and this is where we are. So I mean, I would humor it too if I was him.
I think you gotta listen, but I don't think they should trade him.
End of the day, I absolutely think they shouldn't trade him. I think you give the fans hope for next year and years going on that you still care about winning, and you also keep a big name on the roster.
The only way I would do it is if it's something that you cannot turn down, like multiple top 10 prospects, and you're not sending an insane amount of money over.
Yeah, I'd have to see the haul.
It would have to be something that really makes sense for the Mets, and I don't really know if any teams are going to do that.
Now that Texas is out, I mean, who's left? Houston? The Dodgers?
Houston, who their GM just said they're not trying to go for another starter.
Well, there you go.
So they basically they're out.
We're pretty much down to the Dodgers and the Giants. We were talking about the Giants earlier. They need a starting pitcher. Maybe.
I think the most likely would probably be the Dodgers, as usual. That's what they do at the deadline.
Man, I kind of just talked myself into it, man. Maybe the Giants. Maybe that's the
we were saying who's available.
That might be the factor that pushes the Giants to beat the Dodgers, finally, for the division.
It'll all come down to if the Mets want to move Verlander.
Oh, man, that'll be interesting. I cannot wait for tomorrow to see those deals come through.
Moving on over to the NL Central. The Cubs, I've been telling you, Bill, they look like they're for real.
This is your club this year.
They take 3 of 4 from the lowly Cardinals. Winning streak does end at 8, however. In the final game, the Cardinals do get a 3-0 win to salvage whatever it is.
That game kind of looked like tired legs for the Cubs. I mean, they've been beating everybody.
An 8-game win streak, you're bound to have a bad one eventually.
Yeah, team looks great. They are currently 3.5 games back of the wild card and 4 games back of that Central Division, behind the new first place Reds. Yes, they reclaimed it. They are the sole holders of first place. They are a half game on Milwaukee.
Nice little 3-game losing streak for the Brewers will do that.
And I am again going to say it. This is the biggest series of the week, and it is in the NL Central again.
Mm-hmm.
We go to a 4-game series between the first place Reds and the third place Cubs, while they sit 4 games back. If this is a 4-game sweep, they are the first place Cubs. Well, they're tied, but still.
Yeah, but you think? Yeah, I mean, it's in Chicago.
And who do they start with?
Marcus Stroman will be taking on Andrew Abbott tonight.
Absolute barn burner.
Yeah.
On Monday night. If everybody's not watching, I mean, shame on you. You got to be watching this.
Could you see, because the Cubs have come out and they said they're no longer trading Cody Bellinger, they're going to keep him, which is what I did mention that. I think they should do that. They should try to extend him.
Mm-hmm. I think you kind of called the Cubs, yeah. They're being competitive. We said that this weekend series against the Cardinals was going to be the perfect litmus test on if they should buy or sell. And what did they do?
They won 3 of 4.
They've been mollywhopping everybody for a week and a half, really. I mean, if you're winning 8 in a row, you know they were taking 2 out of 3 before that and stuff. So, I mean, this team has been hot since the break, a little bit before the break, all of July, whatever.
They've been pretty good. They're clawing their way back in. Huge game tonight, like we were just saying. My question to you, though, is do they still deal Stroman?
It's been odd. Like you said, Bellinger's off the table.
Even though Bellinger's off, do they still get rid of him?
Bellinger's off the table, and that makes sense to me. He should be off the table. No comment on Stroman? Why? He should be off the table, too.
You'd think,
Don't trade Stroman.
Why would you trade your ace if you're making a push?
This is my least favorite thing in baseball. Are you trying or not?
Cleveland
does this every year.
Well, the thing is, they're 53 and 52. They're right in the middle, and they don't know. Is the problem, and they're running out of time to make a decision.
You have to. You have a day. It happens in the AL Central every year. Cleveland does it every year.
I mean,
You have to either buy or sell. You can't do both.
as of the time of this recording, they have about 28 hours to make that decision.
That's what I'm saying. And I think they should buy. I think they should.
I agree. I think that they do have. They got juice. They're good.
I don't know why this team's not in on Verlander.
They might be. You never know. There could be a surprise
Haven't heard the name yet. But
mystery team.
I don't know if Verlander would waive that to go to Chicago, though. Ugh.
Yeah, it's another like middle of the road club. I feel like Verlander wouldn't do it unless it's for somebody that's really got a chance.
Probably. Yeah, no, fair enough. So, I mean,
I've made my opinions on the Cubs very clear. I want to hear your thoughts on the Cubs.
well, the thing is, on Friday's episode, I said that I think the Cubs have the best chance out of every third place team to win their division, and I still agree with that. The Angels haven't really moved at all, and I don't really like. What else would it be?
How much longer is that statement even going to be able to be true about the third place team? Though they
That's
might
what-
not be in third very long.
And at this point, I'm all in on them. I'm with you. I personally hope they succeed.
I won you over.
I'm actually rooting for them. I want to see them succeed for once, which is crazy because I didn't think I would feel that way about the Cubs this year. But they've won me over. They're kind of a very interesting team. And then so we got a little bit of a prediction for the Reds. What do you have on them?
I think the Reds being in first place, they definitely need to make a move.
Yeah, they're up a half game now. So I mean, what do they go for on the deadline?
A starter. They also need a starter. See, but like they could be another mystery team in on Verlander. I saw them
wholeheartedly. Really, you
Yeah.
saw their name?
Uh-huh.
Mentioned.
You haven't seen that?
No,
Yeah.
mentioned with Verlander.
They were one of the teams that could be in on him.
Well, is Verlander waving to go play in Cincinnati?
I mean, if he sees the vision, I guess. I don't
Man,
know.
that would be interesting, huh?
The thing is, with the Reds, they need to make a move for a starter because they just cannot continue to send guys like Luke Weaver out.
Not to mention, I mean, we're going to touch on more of what's been going on in the trade market, but starters are flying off the shelves.
Yeah, before the deadline day.
And not for nothing, the relievers are too. The relievers are flying off too. So pitching, the market isn't as robust as it used to be, like earlier in the week even.
There's been question around the league. I've seen that if like a Mariners starter like a George Kirby's available.
I haven't even thought of it.
What if the Reds go out and do something like that? Because then it's a controllable starter that joins a young team. I mean, they can't run out guys like Luke Weaver, like I was just going to say. The guy's got a 7 ERA almost.
That's awful,
In 86 innings, he does not help them pretty much at all.
No, I mean, yeah, that's got to be -4.
So, like, if somebody like George Kirby or... I know they probably won't trade Castillo because they probably shouldn't. They really shouldn't trade Kirby either.
Mariners have been extremely quiet.
Yeah.
You haven't really heard their name too much during the trade deadline here.
I mean,
so.
a team that's 5.5 out of first place, though, the Mariners, like, you got to think they're not going to sit on their hands.
Yeah, you really haven't heard their name too much or seen them too active. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they trade those younger guys.
Maybe they're just working more in silence and we don't know yet.
That would be interesting. I would like to see that. Tomorrow's going to be such a great day for baseball, I think.
Yeah, Cubs, Reds upcoming. I highly recommend everybody that can tunes into that
You
series.
really should. You specifically tonight's game versus Stroman versus Abbott.
Abbott he's building a strong case for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Up there with Corbin Carroll and Kodai Senga.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to take it from Carroll.
If I'm not missing anybody. I might be missing somebody. But
it's a good class.
yeah, there's a lot of good rookies this year.
But either way, I think the Cubs and the Reds should be aggressive buyers. What about you?
I don't know how aggressive the Cubs should be because of where they are. I think the Reds should definitely be aggressive being in first place.
I debate that the Cubs might need it more. They
Yeah,
need
but-
to make games up.
Yeah, but the Reds are trying to build a core. So you got to
Yeah.
go find somebody that can be like a building block in your rotation. Because who's their ace? You know,
Hunter Green.
he hasn't pitched much.
No,
He's
it's-
hurt
yeah,
again.
Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott. It's not.
You got to get a name.
You got to improve.
You got to get a name.
You got to improve, and I think actually that Verlander trade would be insane. For
It
them
would
too.
change them.
God, now he's the new Otani of the market. We're
Yeah.
talking about him. He would save all these teams and everything.
As a Mets fan, though, I really, really hope that Verlander stays put.
I hope
I'm
he
sorry
stays
for
too.
everybody else.
Predictions on this series. What do you think?
I could see it going a lot of different ways, but I'll be bold, and I'm going to say that my Chicago Cubs take 3 out of 4 again and close the gap just a little bit more.
Yeah, this might sound boring. I actually fully think they're going to 2-game split this.
I was going to lean
Yeah.
that and say that, but
Me too.
I just think I'm going to give the Cubs the edge because it's in Wrigley. They're hot. I don't know. I'm feeling the Cubs.
It'd
Bill.
be cool if they did. I'm feeling the Cubs too, which was crazy because I was feeling the Reds last week. So,
They got to at least go 3 out of 4 to make up a game.
yeah, for sure.
So you can't split.
Yeah.
You stay 4 back.
We'll keep an eye on that. We're gonna stick with that big red machine. What did they do this weekend? They took 2 out of 3 from the first place Los Angeles Dodgers, and they took wholeheartedly sole possession of first place.
Yeah.
They're up a half game now, like we said. Dodgers are up 2 on San Francisco still, even though San Francisco got the sweep on the weekend and they lost 2 out of 3. 4 games up on Arizona. That team just kind of can't get it back going, Arizona.
Yeah, they look like they're fizzling it out a little bit at the end here.
A little sad to see. They were one of the exciting young clubs.
They're only a game out, though. The 2-8 in the last 10 is brutal, and they're still only a game out. Like, if they were playing even 500 ball, the D-backs would be in there.
Seriously, yeah. And that's it. 500 ball isn't easy. This is a tough sport.
Very hard.
But we'll get into the Dodgers make another move. They get their old guy, Joe Kelly, and the veteran Lance Lynn from the White Sox.
The Dodgers just seem to be reuniting.
We said on
Bunch of
Friday.
people.
We said on Friday Lance Lynn probably goes to the Whites or the Dodgers or the Rays, and it is the Dodgers.
I said, the reports were that the Rays were like almost a shoo-in for him, and the
Yeah.
Dodgers came in and stole him and got Joe Kelly on top of it.
Yeah, Dodgers ship over minor league arms Nick Nastrini and Jordan Leisure, as well as Trace Thompson, that pop bat. Another one.
Third stint with the White Sox now.
Third stint with the White Sox. He does not know which team he wants to be on between these two. But
He was drafted by the White Sox.
Definitely one of these two. He likes these two teams. So Kelly goes back to the Dodgers, Thompson back to the White Sox. Hey, you think it's a good deal?
I do. I think it's a necessary deal for a lot of people involved. Lynn needs a change of scenery like nobody I've ever seen before. Joe Kelly has proven that he was really good on the Dodgers when he was going back and forth with Carlos Correa on the Astros.
Phenomenal stuff,
crybaby
too.
face.
I mean, his stuff is still crazy.
Yeah, he throws gas.
He's in a bit of a struggle here, and his stuff is still so crazy to look at, his knuckle curve and everything.
Thompson was good for the Dodgers last year. He really hasn't panned out as like an everyday MLB player. I mean, he's got some time in the show though.
I was gonna say, how do you look at this as a loss for the White Sox? I mean, they
got
'cause what
nothing
did they
more.
lose?
They lost a guy that had
a veteran pitcher they clearly weren't going to bring back, a struggling reliever that they probably don't want back, and I mean, they get 2 young pitchers and Trace Thompson. I take that.
Yeah, it is a good deal, but you got to think that something weird is going on in Chicago because you remember a couple of years back, Lucas Giolito led the league with he had the worst ERA among qualifiers.
Yeah.
That's Lance Lynn this year.
Yeah, but Giolito's back.
Giolito is back, and he's been good on that team, but why does this keep happening on that team?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is
why
now-
would it be just one guy though? You know what I mean?
It wasn't one guy. Now it's two.
But
Lance,
but specifically one guy per year. You know what
and
I
it's
mean?
also in a
Yeah.
division that isn't good.
Because Giolito and Cease are nice as of right now. So why would the Heat be so bad?
Well,
I mean,
Giolito turned it around when he started to throw that high changeup.
right? Yeah, which is a weird pitch to go to.
So
but yeah,
maybe they're, I don't know, because
I actually think it's a bit of a fluke. I think Lance Lynn is just kind of he's getting a little long in the tooth.
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
It could be also with the pitch clock coming in, Lance Lynn was a big walk around the mound, take his time.
You don't even have to say walk around the mound. You could just say old school guy.
Yeah,
he's been in the game so long. I think it's going to take a lot to adjust to, and it has for those older guys.
I don't think he can adjust.
That's probably. We didn't even discuss this. That's probably why Scherzer's having
It
a
could
bit of
be.
it. I mean, because I know he was partially responsible for bringing it in, but he pitched 20 years of baseball professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of his minor league stuff and all of his high school and college, and so how much pitching without a clock, and then you just do it? I mean, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
Verlander said it in the beginning of the year that it was tough for him to adjust.
Has to be. Just has to be.
And these guys have been doing it forever.
It's probably tough for the young guys. So to recap the Dodgers so far on the deadline, they got Kike Hernandez, Ahmed Rosario, Lance Lynn, and Joe Kelly.
Not a bad deadline thus far for the Dodgers, but also if you look at the numbers more closely, Lynn's been really bad, like I was just saying, the worst among qualifiers. Kelly's been kind of rough. Rosario's having a down year, and Kike is one of the lowest on base percentages in baseball. So they got a bunch of guys that are struggling that I think they can turn around.
Yeah, I think that's actually that's a perfect point to make. This is a Dodgers deadline. They took names that they have seen play baseball well. and they are just simply saying we're going to have these guys play baseball well. We're going to train them and coach them to do that again. They have a great coaching staff and a great team and a great organization, so it's kind of hard to disagree. I could see them definitely helping out a guy like Rosario.
Oh yeah, I was mentioning that in the other one.
Yeah.
And also to circle back on that, I believe today it is the debut of Noah Syndergaard as a Guardian.
Oh, well, another one to watch.
Yeah, he will be taking on the Astros. That might not be too good of a game for him, but
JP France, who has been pitching like phenomenally well for a guy that just really you hadn't heard of before this
he's
year.
a rookie. Nice little call up. It's the Astros, man. They know where to find these guys.
Yeah. So the Dodgers doing decent so far. We'll see how they carry on.
All right, we're gonna jump over to the AL a little bit here. We're going to start with the big one, obviously, the Texas Rangers, who we've already talked about with the massive acquisition of Scherzer.
Boy, are they active.
They make another really big trade that we'll talk about a little bit more to bolster that injury-riddled rotation right now with Nathan Eovaldi going on the IL.
Brutal.
DeGrom's already down. Some guys just really haven't been helping that much. Martin Perez has not looked like himself. He was really good last year. He's looked really bad again this year. Who else? Dane Dunning has been a bright spot for them, but how much can you really expect out of such a young guy?
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe he finds his own.
The Rangers, though, however, their parade has been rained on a little bit. They were swept by the Padres in San Diego pretty handedly, too. Like, the first game was 7-1 Padres. The next game they got shut out 4-0. And then the last game it was 5-3. It was a little closer, but I mean,
you said it, Mike. This is a team. They're injury riddled in the rotation, and they're a team who lives and dies by the bat. So this series, they didn't score more than 3 runs in a single game. They went 1-0-3.
They had 4 runs all series.
That's not winning baseball. It's just not winning baseball, especially for this team. They need Scherzer right now. Literally need Scherzer right now, and need Eovaldi back as soon as possible. And honestly, wouldn't be remiss to go get another starting pitcher if they could. But again,
it's a big ask, but I mean, the guy that they faced in the third game could be somebody that might be available maybe if the Padres want to get him.
Yeah, to be fair, they did just get a starting pitcher.
Yeah, they did get somebody
Let's
else.
actually touch on that right now. Yeah, so maybe they're actually fine. Either way, Snell continued to dominate 5 scoreless innings, with 9 Ks against the Rangers lineup. It's absolutely insane what he's doing. He's down to a 2.50 ERA.
That leads Major League Baseball, 2.50.
The guy's like untouchable, and he might be, at the end of this year, one of the few people to win a Cy Young in both leagues.
Yeah, if he does stick it out, and I mean, we're getting down to the nitty gritty at the end here. I mean, he's looked great for a couple months.
I would vote for him, I think.
Yeah.
Why not? He's been absolutely filthy, and he's a lefty, too. I like a lefty Cy Young.
Over his last 15 games, he's got a 1.50. He's 7-3 with a 1.50 ERA.
It's absolutely disgusting numbers.
In his last 7, he's 4-2 with a .95.
Sub 1 ERA.
Nobody has touched him in his last 7 games.
So absolute flowers to Blake Snell and respect to him. I'll actually correct myself because I did say earlier that they're going to need to add another starting pitcher. Excuse me, they did. They made a trade for Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton yesterday for an infield Thomas Seguis and a right-hand pitcher Teco Roby and a left-hand pitcher John King, all from St. Louis. What do you think of that?
They're all going back to St. Louis, yes. I think that's a great move for the Rangers. That we were just talking about. You think that they need to get another arm because of how beat up they are and how unreliable some people have been in that rotation. Jordan Montgomery is a great addition.
Yeah, Rangers get their guy in Montgomery, so maybe that is the starting pitcher that helps that rotation at least carry over until those other guys come back and Scherzer gets going for them. It's another one of those trades. I mean, you can't fault the Rangers. They're trying to go all in and they're trying to win. Maybe you could fault St. Louis a little bit. I don't know if they really got as much as they could. Maybe St. Louis could have done better.
Yeah, I mean, they did. I don't really know those prospects too well. I know John King. He's been in the majors.
Yeah.
I don't really know Seguiz. I think I've seen that he's a good hitter. He was their 15th ranked prospect, I believe. I think.
I guess that's kind of what you expect for a guy like Montgomery. The 15 to 20 prospects, and a little bit you get up.
Not to be overlooked, though, Chris Stratton could be a nice move for their bullpen.
And Chris Stratton he's been good in the
right-handed
past.
reliever.
Yeah.
But to give Monty a little bit, he's struggled in the win-loss because of the Cardinals having a rough go. But he's at a 3.42 ERA in 121 innings.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's been all right.
They are still your first place Rangers, and they are still fighting for it, and clearly going all in on this deadline. So keep an eye on Texas going into tomorrow.
So, real quick, finally, what are your thoughts and reactions for the Cardinals, though?
The Cardinals, yeah, I don't.
Do you think they should hold on to Arenado and Goldschmidt, or just blow it up?
I think they should. Yeah, that's such a that might be the toughest decision to make, honestly.
They're 13 games under 500, and they've already traded a bunch of people.
If I'm the GM, I'm probably holding on to them. So I think that's how I explained it.
Yeah, because you want to give your fans something to look forward to in 24, right. And if you get rid of those guys, you're basically waving the white flag and saying we're going full rebuild. It's not going to be good next year, guys.
But then again, I also don't love this move too much for St. Louis. So I mean, St. Louis is having a tough season, not the greatest deadline so far.
This move kind of seems like they're going toward like a little bit of a rebuild.
Yeah, which is weird because their GM explicitly said this is not a rebuild.
Exactly.
So.
I guess that's why they wanted John King to get a little major league help. But how much help?
They could use the relief. Yeah, you're getting John King as you trade Jordan Hicks away.
Yeah.
So I mean, what are you getting?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They already traded Hicks. They've traded now Montgomery and Stratton. I mean,
and they're giving guys like, I don't know, man.
The Cardinals are in a very weird spot.
Yeah, and this is a real struggle year for them.
You really don't ever see the Cardinals in a spot like
completely
this.
Completely out of character, yeah. So, tough year for the Cardinals. Not a great deadline so far.
Great year for the Rangers,
yeah, and absolutely battling on the deadline. So I will keep an eye on the Rangers, one of the most interesting teams in ball. All right, everybody. Your last place Yankees take on your first place Orioles. And Aaron Judge makes his triumphant return. How triumphant was it? Well, he went 0 for 1 with 3 walks. It was a 1-0 loss. It wasn't that triumphant. So, but still, Santander hits his walk-off bomb.
I was gonna say, you know who it was triumphant
only
for?
Run, Anthony Santander. You gotta love him. Great lefty swing.
Absolute bomb too.
He's a switch hitter, isn't he?
He is a switch hitter.
Oh,
it was that one was a lefty swing. But he can also do it righty.
Yeah, it was a lefty swing. Yeah.
That's a guy that doesn't get talked about enough. That guy is very, very good.
He deserves his flowers, absolutely. Always been a solid outfielder. Could even dabble a little bit on first.
Yeah.
Gotta give respect to that. Batista, my favorite reliever in the game. I'm just wholeheartedly going to say that right now. Till Edwin Diaz comes back. Continues to dominate the game. And he gets a 6th win. He has a .90 ERA.
A closer having 6 wins in a full season is crazy, let alone before August begins.
I mean, this guy is just a winning player. He's the guy you want on your clubhouse. Yeah, so that absolutely monstrous Baltimore bullpen. They had a rough series in Philly, losing 2 of those games, but they bounce back and they do what they've done all season, and they win these ones.
Yeah, nice bounce-back series for the O's, but not a good bounce-back series for the Yankees. Just like the Astros, they only win 1 game of the series. The second game, we'll talk about that.
2 out of 3.
We'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. Yeah, the Astros and Yankees both on the same course this weekend. They lose the first game, they win the second game, they lose the third game. The first game they just didn't show up. Frankly, the second game was the game where Judge really showed up.
Yeah.
He goes 3 for 5 with a 2-run bomb, his 20th, and the first home run back since that long IL stint. Stanton adds his 14th homer, going 2 for 5 with it, and then unsung hero, nice game from Kyle Higashioka behind the dish, going 3 for 4 with his 6th bomb of the year.
God, I love to see a catcher raking, and I love to see a catcher just producing in any way, defense, offense, even on the bases. Love it.
So that's what happened in the Yankees' big win, and then the Orioles go back, and they just shell Luis Severino for 9 earned runs in 3 1/3. That man has lost his way.
God, he did not look good at all.
Again.
Yeah, and that's a struggle for the Yankees right now. This is a team whose pitching isn't doing great besides Garrett Cole. I guess Domingo Germán has definitely had some bright spots, like that perfect game, obviously. But Yes, Severino, definitely a down point. Rodon struggling in his first starts with the Yankees. We'll have to see, but that's a team that needs pitching, so they're either going to buy pitching or sell, right? I mean, maybe the Yankees do sell. Maybe we were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't picture it. I really just can't. I think they would rather just ride it out, and if they make it, they make it. If they don't really care.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to sell.
Well, obviously they do
When-
care. I don't want to say they don't care. I meant they don't care in the aspect of like we're not selling our players off.
Right.
The fans are gonna be back next year. Where the Yankees, we're not gonna sell.
And just to touch on it, because we haven't so far, the Orioles struck out 18 pinstripes to set a new franchise record yesterday.
And the third game, they completely dominated them from the start.
You see 18 of your guys getting mowed down. Maybe you start shipping some out.
And then
I
on
don't
the
know.
other side, I'm not going to let him get away because he needs to be talked about. I do feel a little bit bad for Luis Severino. I don't know if you saw yesterday after this start. He came out and said he feels like he's the worst starting pitcher in baseball.
It's a meltdown season, and it's kind of hard to disagree with him when you look at the stats.
Yeah, in 12 games, he's sitting at a 7.49 ERA with a 1.84 WHIP in 57 and two-thirds.
Even got less strikeouts than innings. I mean, he's kind of not doing anything particularly well.
The strikeout rate is down. The homers, I mean, I think he gives up a ton of homers, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I don't want to dump on the guy, but
Giving up 15 home runs.
you don't want to dump on the guy, but this is professional baseball, and God, man, it's just really not acceptable.
I'm going to give Luis Severino a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, though. I think he really has been derailed by injuries.
Yeah, no, most definitely, and it happens to a lot of great pitchers. I mean, think Matt Harvey.
I mean, he used to have stuff. I don't know if you remember, but before DeGrom came up, they were talking about Severino being better than DeGrom.
Yep,
Like,
some people said that. I think that was a Martino quote or
yeah,
something.
probably. It was something stupid Andy said.
Regardless. Yeah, so what do you think the Yanks do on the deadline?
I think, like I just said, I can't picture them selling. I just can't. So
It's hard to picture them selling. I literally think they should.
I
They should.
I think that's a fair point. I just don't really. I don't see it, and I don't think they will. I think most likely they might make a minor deal or two, but I think mostly the Yankees are going to stand pat.
Yeah, I mean, our first episode was last Monday. I believe on last Monday's episode, the Yankees were 3.5 games out, and they were the second team out of the wild card. Right now, the Yankees are 3.5 games out, and they are the second team out of the wild card. They're just not. They're not moving. They're not really shaking. They got Judge back, and still lost 2 out of 3.
I think that's the thing is that they have these like Judge coming back, and they maybe they believe. I mean, they gotta believe in Rodon. They just signed him to a mega deal. That they gotta believe in their guys a little bit. And I think maybe the Yankees are just gonna roll with what they got.
I'm going to stick firm on what I said Friday about the Yankees. You're going to keep hearing the Yankees' names on this trade deadline tomorrow. You're not going to see them in the actual deals.
Yeah.
You're going to see them that the Yankees have interest in Verlander. They're not getting Verlander.
See, like
You know,
if they went
something
out,
like that.
if they went out and made a trade for Verlander, that could turn them
I
around
don't
because
know
they
if
would
that-
have Cole, Verlander. Even if Rodon isn't what he was,
Doesn't
he's
Met-
their 3.
Does a Mets and Yankees trade for Verlander even exist?
I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, I don't know.
like I said, I don't think Verlander leaves in the end. I think the Mets need a little bit of structure in that rotation, and also no, don't send him to the
Yeah,
Yankees.
I don't think it exists. I don't think that happens. But I do think that the Yankees are going to be one of the most intriguing teams to watch because they are like one of the few teams that are right on the brink. I mean, they have no idea what to do.
Yeah, and that's just what we'll do. We'll pay close attention, and we'll be watching the
Yankees fans were saying a sell. Let's see what Yankees management thinks.
All right, and the last series we'll touch on a little bit because of how big the teams are and how good they've been. Both a couple of second place teams,
Juggernauts.
both trying to get back into first.
Former Juggernauts, I guess.
The Rays and the Astros battle in Houston. Nice 3-gamer. Tampa Bay takes game 1, 4-3 in a nail biter. That was a Yandy Diaz sac fly off Ryan Presley in the top of the 9th to score Jose Siri for the 4th run, and then
swing.
Pete Fairbanks shut it down. He's been nails this year with a 1.19 ERA. I mean, impressive
Underrated.
stuff.
All right. Well, the second game, a 17-4 blowout. Very outlier game for Tampa Bay.
Uncharacteristic pitching.
Got to see a position player pitching. So
That's always fun.
yeah, nice little. Now that with the new rule, you can only do it in a game where you're getting your ass whooped that bad. So I mean, that's nice.
It was a Taj Bradley start too. He's supposed to be a big prospect for them, and he hasn't looked good recently at all. He's almost up to a 6.
Tough, very tough. Yeah, he's young.
I mean, looking at this box score, dude, none of these guys helped at all. Pinto gave up 5 runs in an inning.
Jake Diekman sighting as well. He gave up one.
I love Jake Diekman. That's one of my guys.
Yeah, interesting. But they bounced back from a 17-4 loss with a 8-2 Tampa Bay win in Game 3.
Nice Game 3 win.
Tampa takes 2 out of 3 from the Stros. Nice little series win for them. Very weird outlier game. Good to see that it didn't impact the guys' mindsets going into the next one.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how the Rays kind of took the same model of the Orioles in Baltimore, against the Yankees, and then the Yankees were the Astros.
Right. Yeah.
Won the first, lost the second, won the third.
It's been interesting to see, on a wider scale. It almost seems like all of the best teams in the AL are replicating what makes the Astros so successful.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's the same thing with the NL team should be doing that with the Dodgers and Braves.
It is really working. I mean, if you look at it, teams like the Orioles and the Rangers, these are teams that are fresh and newly first place teams.
They say that imitation is the best form of flattery. So I mean, those teams got to be model after us.
There's a winning formula to baseball.
Win.
There's a winning formula to baseball. Great bats, a great bullpen, and a solid starting pitching rotation is what you want. Bullpen is the absolute winning factor in a postseason run, in my opinion.
I agree. Real quick, in that third game between the Rays and the Astros, it was a big first inning, 4-run first inning, and the Rays just really never looked back. It was 6-0 at one point, then the Astros got a couple back in the bottom of the 5th. And immediately the Rays just added the 2 back in the top of the 6th, and it was just smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, that 4 spot in the first kind of it quite literally daggered them.
Yeah,
they never scored 4.
It's tough to get out of a 4-0 hole in the first inning.
Yeah, which actually, putting it back to that 17-4 game, that is so impressive to put up a 4 spot after losing 17-4.
Yeah.
That is the first inning after losing 17-4.
Yeah, that's how they responded. That's
fascinating.
Good teams respond.
So, like I said, bullpen is important to win.
And the Stros,
Fairbanks has a 1.90, and the Stros have a great bullpen.
Speaking of bullpen, though, the Stros are reacquiring Kendall Graveman for the second time in 3 years for catching prospect Corey Lee.
So we got another player going back. The Dodgers and the Stros are doing this.
A lot of reunions.
Specifically the Dodgers and the Stros, who have met in the World Series before, obviously. It's very interesting to see.
I saw on Twitter that Astros fans were a little bit upset, though, about trading away Corey Lee.
Yeah, no, he seems to be good, and catchers are hard to come by.
And their catchers specifically, like Maldonado is aging, and he's not that good anymore. I've seen. They got Yanir Diaz over there.
Yeah, no, he's good.
They like him, but I mean, Corey Lee was hyped up at one point.
You'd like to at least get a little bit more than one reliever for him.
Yeah, Graveman was good for the Astros though, so I can see why they want to reacquire him.
If he's good for them again and they end up winning this division, we're gonna look back on this trade and I think we'll think fondly of it. So
yeah, they're knocking too. What are they They're only a game out now.
Mm-hmm. I still Fangraphs actually has them to win still.
That's because of the veteran.
I've been saying it since episode 1 of this pod. I still think, maybe I'm being hopeful, but I picked Texas.
Well, I think Texas' front office agrees with you with the trades that they just made.
They're going all out, and maybe they prove me right because of that. That would be amazing.
They want that division more than I've seen them want it in a very long time. Mm-hmm. They're hungry.
So these 2 second-place teams should be pretty active on Tuesday.
Now, we mentioned before Verlander to Houston could have happened, but their GM came out and said they're not really interested in adding another starter, so that kind of takes them out of that conversation.
That's a dead giveaway, because even if you are interested in getting a starter, it's going to be hard to get Verlander. So.
Just for the baseball storyline, though, that would have been pretty interesting. The Rangers get Max Scherzer to replace DeGrom, who was on the Mets last year.
For another Houston reunion, too?
Yeah,
they reunite. Houston and Detroit, or Houston and the Dodgers. Absolutely, just going for reunions, it's pretty funny to see them trying to run back their 2018 rosters.
Yeah, it's funny how things are going. A lot of reunions have been happening this deadline so far. This series was a really nice rebound for the Rays, I have to say. What do you think?
Yeah, no, 100%, especially being able to win 2 out of 3 when you're losing a game and giving up 17 runs. I mean, if you're winning 2 out of 3 against the Astros and you lose one game with 17 on the board, Yeah, you got to come away from that feeling good.
They're only a game and a half behind the Orioles.
Yeah, those two, probably the two best division races in the league.
I don't think I have my prediction for those two races is they're not going to be blowouts at the end. It's going to be a close race up until the last game.
I think the same with the NL Central.
Yeah.
I think those three are going to be absolute log jams.
I mean, even the AL Central, but they're just not really this. They're not as good. They're both 500 teams. Who really cares?
That is very true.
I mean, the Twins are in first place and are on a 5-game losing streak.
They
still.
get slept on a lot because of how bad they actually are.
Division just isn't good. Yeah, so the next episode should be even more interesting because we'll have all of the made deals.
We'll be breaking down the fallout of the trade deadline, and tomorrow is my probably favorite day of the year.
4:00 tomorrow afternoon is when all of them got to get in, and tomorrow's going to be a big day.
I'll be glued to the TV listening to some baseball guys talk baseball.
Should be a really, really fun day, and I encourage everyone to tune in.
Hope you all enjoy. Thank everybody so much for listening, watching, wherever you are.
We really do appreciate any support that happens to come across.
You can find us on Spotify. Look up 9 Frames and you'll see a nice picture of a batter. Go on YouTube, 9 Frames Podcast will pop right up. Catch us on Twitter at 9 Frames Pod. And please like and subscribe. I have been Bill Whalen.
And I have been Mike Whalen.
Thank you so much. This is July 31st. Enjoy